Hello, friends. Welcome back to Spencer Love Interviews, a very special edition today. And for special editions of the show, you got to have a special guest. It is the 500th episode of Ring of Honor television taking place tonight, and one of the longest tenured, if not the longest tenured, depending on whose math you go by, member of the Ring of Honor roster. Not only a member of the foundation, but a foundational member of ROH. Rhett Titus joining me today. Rhett, it's great to chat with you, especially like I was saying before we started recording. Such a monumental day for the promotion, and I would have to assume yourself. How are you doing, and how are you feeling on what's one of the promotion's biggest days in history?
Well, first off, Spencer, thanks for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm feeling great, man. It's crazy to think that 500 episodes have passed by. You know, I remember, when we were taping episode 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and
counting them on your fingers rather than having to get a calendar.
Yeah, I think all these years later, we're at 500. It's a very unprecedented thing. If you think about it, I was reading something today. WCW Monday Nitro only had I think 248 episodes. So
yeah,
for Ring of Honor to have 500 is a big deal.
And for yourself as a guy who quite literally wrestled his first match for Ring of Honor, it has to mean a little bit more, right? Take me through, I guess, the process, because you trained with the Ring of Honor Dojo, but obviously I don't know how you ended up there. So maybe take me through that, and then obviously how your first match came to be with the promotion.
Well, honestly, it was right after, 2002 when, WCW went out of business and ECW went out of business, and wrestling was kind of just at the time because there was no competition or anything like that. I remember my brother-in-law was like, hey, you want to go to this indie show? It's called Ring of Honor. I was like, because I'd been to a lot of indie shows ever since ECW went out of business, and live it was, just
they were indie shows.
and he was like, well, Steve Corino and Eddie Guerrero are going to be there. I was like, oh, and those being two of my favorites, I was sold, So I went to the Ring of Honor show, and from the first match, I was like, oh my gosh, what the hell is this? This isn't sports entertainment. This is wrestling as a sport. And I had always wanted to be a professional wrestler growing up, but I was like, man, this is something I never seen. This is what I want to do with my life. So from that point on, I was hooked on Ring of Honor. I was, checking the website every day and buying all the VHS tapes and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden they said, hey, we're opening a wrestling school. And when the school opened, I was only 15 at the time, but I was like, oh, I got to get in there, so I'm emailing them. And finally, when I turned 17, they let me in there, and I was trained by Austin Aries, and, awesome training from Austin Aries, one of the best wrestlers to ever do it. 2-time Ring of Honor world champion. So, about 6 months after my training, I got thrown into the fire. My first match was literally on a Ring of Honor show in Dayton, Ohio, and I wrestled Shane Hagedorn. And leading up to it, I wasn't really too confident about it. I was like, oh my gosh, and then as soon as I got out the curtain, I was like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, and it all kind of felt right, So. And the rest is history, as they say.
I was just going to say, now Wikipedia is to be believed, and cage match is sometimes in the same situation, but if it's correct, you were one of 2 trainees as part of your training class?
Yeah, just myself and Ring of Honor alumni Grizzly Redwood. There was one other guy who came for day 1, but he didn't make it to day 2. So.
I was going to say he took that first bump and wasn't coming back.
Yeah, so it was a little bit hard training with Grizzly because we had a little bit of size difference, So when you're learning things, it's a little bit harder, because sometimes you need somebody your size because you're not that well at, getting a light and stuff like that. So, but we got through it, and I'm still friends with Grizzly Redwood to this day. He was a groomsman in my wedding and all. So
very cool. Very cool. I know it's jumping ahead a little bit, but it's a casual conversation. How do you think you've maybe affected, or how has the culture, I guess, to use the buzzword for it, changed from your start in Ring of Honor to now? Because the wrestling product's always been there. I don't think many people would argue that, but even in interviews you've done with guys like Sean Ross Sapp, you've talked about it being apples and oranges now. So maybe take me a little bit through the history of those growing apples versus growing oranges.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like everybody like kind of looks to me as like a veteran of the locker room. And to me, it's like, man, like this 15 years just went by so quick. I'm still like a hungry dude, like just trying to trying to get comfortable. You know what I mean? But you can never get comfortable because everything is always changing and everything. There's always new guys coming up and keeping you on your toes and that sort of thing. But for right now, Ring of Honor, man, I have to say it's the best it's ever been. The product that we're putting out right now is absolutely amazing. Even with the limitations that the pandemic has put on us, we brought back the pure title and the pure rules and that sort of thing. And that's something that you really got to like focus on, you got to, it's a different level of thinking of pro wrestling. So even when you're watching it at home, you're seeing like how many rope breaks does this guy have left on your TV screen, and those sorts of things. So you really got to like sit. You can't just like casually watch it. There's strategies to it, and there's psychology behind it. So you definitely want to sit and watch it with a fine eye. But I mean, from everything from the presentation to the matches to the commentators, Ian and Caprice, they're the best duo.
Yeah.
Best phone today. So Ring of Honor is really firing on all cylinders right now. So to be a part of it after all these years and to continue to be a driving force in the company, it's an absolute, part of the pun, but honor.
Bada bing. Of course, then I know you've talked about it before as well, but any chance you've got to put over great work the companies are doing right now, take it, in my opinion. So maybe take me through the experience in the Ring of Honor bubble and then what the experience has been like for you in the most positive of senses. I've had the opportunity to chat with Matt Taven and PCO and Mike Bennett, and it's very, very nice to hear that everyone's consistently talking about what a great job they've done.
Yeah, from the moment like this pandemic all kind of started, it was my wedding anniversary, and I was on my way to Las Vegas for the anniversary show and the TV taping. And I got off the plane and I actually bumped into Cheeseburger and Grizzly Redwood, and Grizzly was actually coming back. It was like almost a 10-year hiatus for him, and he was coming back for the past versus present show. So, I got off the plane. They're like, "Hey, did you check your email yet?" I was like, "No." They're like, "The shows are canceled." I was like, "What?" Like, man, maybe a little bit more serious than I thought it was. Because I know how much money it takes to put on a pay-per-view, have that time slot, and the satellite, and they had catering waiting for us, and all the flights for everybody to get out there, and hotels for multiple days, and all these reservations made. So a lot of money was just kind of like thrown out right off the
not the stuff you're getting a refund on.
Yeah. And that was to just make everybody feel safe, because at that time the news, the media were kind of saying like, "Hey, this is going to be a big thing." So, and nobody knew at that time what it was going to be, but it seemed like it was going to be serious. So, and they also spent a lot of money on changing our flights to go home as well too, if we felt like we wanted to go home. So that is so thankful for. But from there, it was like, all right, this is going to be cool. I'm going to have 2 weeks to sit at home and do this quarantine thing. Like,
this will be over with. Can't wait for the summer.
Yeah. I had never heard of the word quarantine before all of this. And then all of a sudden, it's like this word that we use every day now. But what we thought was going to be 2 weeks turned into 2 months. And then like, it was like, all right, we're going to be getting back to work soon. But the thing was, Ring of Honor didn't want to put us at risk whatsoever, or our families because we have people coming from multiple different countries and multiple different states from all over, So the risk that that would be putting everybody at would be very high. And they chose to keep everyone safe, keep everybody at home, keep paying us and taking care of everybody. And, we hop on some Zooms here and there and chit chat and come up with creative ideas about what we could do going forward. But it wasn't until they really figured out the testing and, the transmission of the disease where they brought us back into the bubble. So basically with the bubble is a way where we can go and usually tape about 8 weeks of TV or so and do it all at once. And basically they bring us into the hotel. Even before we go to the hotel, we got to take a test before we even leave our house. So once we pass that test to leave our house, we go to the hotel, we got a room by ourselves, and we can't have any visitors, anything like that, nobody inside there. And we take another test when we get to the hotel, and then another test before we wrestle. And temperature checks at the door and questionnaires before we go into the building. And then we have to wear a face mask the whole time we're there, unless we're on camera, which tears your ear up.
Oh man, I know. I had to adjust to one of the adjustable ones, because let me tell you, I was stuck like this for 3/4 of my first part of this.
But even after that, all those steps they take, each match gets a brand new ring canvas, and those are quite expensive. And the ropes, turnbuckles, any area that was touched or anything, all gets sanitized and wiped down. And they're really sparing no expense to make sure everybody's safe, and everybody appreciates that to the utmost.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, I don't have any idea where you were headed prior to the pandemic coming and any of that sort of stuff, but you don't want to say a benefit of everything that's happened in the world, but you've become a part of what is one of the coolest factions, not just in Ring of Honor, but in professional wrestling, in my opinion. Just give me a little bit of background on how it came to be and how you started to team with guys like John Gresham and Jay Lethal, and a guy who's got, by my money, the best name in pro wrestling, Hot Sauce Tracy Williams. How did that end up happening?
Well, to be honest, prior to the pandemic, I really had no idea of the direction that I was going either, So the pandemic gave, everybody time to think and kind of, come up with new stuff and that sort of thing. But, I still wasn't really sure on what I was going to be doing. And, it was the first TV taping back in August, the first bubble that we had. And, I got there and there wasn't really anything for me. And I was just kind of like, oh, all right, that's
sweet.
And then, here I am, and there's nothing to do. And then Jonathan Gresham pulled me aside, and, me and Gresham have wrestled before, and we had a lot of cool talks about wrestling before, and we had a lot of similarities and mindsets about wrestling. And he pulled me aside and he was like, hey man, I have this idea. And basically he, laid it all on me right there. And I was like, wow, this sounds amazing.
Fucking rad.
Yeah, this is something I want to be a part of course, because, too many times have I seen people come into Ring of Honor and use Ring of Honor for their own benefit, and, not really think about, what Ring of Honor was built upon, and, people that want to be Ring of Honor to be in Ring of Honor, so, and we're 4 like-minded individuals, myself, John, Hot Sauce, and Jay Lethal, where, we're all about, bringing the company back to its glory days and making sure the code of honor is adhered to and restoring honor. It's not just, a gimmick or an angle. This is how we all really feel. And personally, if you don't feel the same way, the door's right there.
Beautifully played. Absolutely beautifully played. I have to ask on Tracy Williams, though, what makes him a particularly great tag team partner? I know that you're a great wrestler. He's a great wrestler. You've sort of been a tag team specialist, even in your own words, but there's just something. And again, it might just be my personal bias coming in, but that just makes you guys work. You know what I mean?
It's one of those things where I always had really good chemistry with Kenny King as a tag team. And once we stopped teaming, I was kind of searching for another tag partner, and I just never found that same chemistry like I had with Kenny. And Tracy Williams, he has had a lot of different tag team partners as well, a few different ones in Ring of Honor and also other ones on the indies. But with all those different partners, you kind of learn how to work with different people and that sort of thing. So you kind of learn how to adjust. And with the experience of having all these other partners, when we came together, it was just kind of like, it fit like a glove, like it just, we're both kind of been deemed tag team specialists over the years. So to put the two of us together, it was right from the start. We made history at Final Battle in the first ever Pure Rules tag team match, which, I'm very proud of. And we wrestled two really, really good pure wrestlers in Fred Yehi and Wheeler Yuta. But from there, we kind of went on a roll, and now we're the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. So, hey, man, we've only had like 4 or 5 tag team matches together as a team, but we're the champs now, and we can only get better from here.
Yeah, it's a real cliche in pro wrestling sometimes, but you guys have that X factor, right? It's absolutely fantastic to get to watch. On your end as well, maybe again, another cliche that's thrown around a ton is the phrase underrated. And in my opinion, it does somewhat apply to you in that watching some of the singles matches you've put on, they're absolutely fantastic. And again, you do get branded rightfully or wrongfully as a tag team specialist sometimes. Do you take pride in being underrated sometimes? Do you see it as maybe something that gives you a chip on your shoulder? Or when people describe you as an underrated guy, what's your first thought?
I'd rather be underrated than overrated, right? but it's one of those things where like, yeah, I kind of, it kind of puts a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I have a, I know that I can just go out there with anybody and have whatever style match that they want to have, or, whatever style match that I want to have. And, it's going to come out and be a banger, and it's cool because, I think it's one of those things where I've been around for so long that sometimes people start taking me for granted and that sort of thing. They're like, oh yeah, he's been here and, he'll always be here. And, they kind of just don't look at me like that way. But like now in 2021 and the end of 2020, people have really been turning their heads and be like, man, like where the hell's Rhett Titus been all these years? But, I've been right here having great matches and, they've just been getting overlooked. But now it's finally nice to see people are starting to take notice.
100%, my friend. As I mentioned off the hop, Ring of Honor's 500th TV episode airs tonight. Before we get into that, let's talk about maybe some of your personal favorite television moments from Ring of Honor. I know 500 episodes is a lot to have to pick from, so don't maybe give me the top one. Maybe just give me a few moments, maybe not even some that you were involved in that stand out to you as far as ROH's 500 episode run.
So one of my personal favorite matches from all 500 that I participated in was the Steel Cage Warfare, which put Team Scum against Team Ring of Honor. That was, a pay-per-view main event worthy match, but they put it on free TV for everybody to see. A lot of different moving parts in that match, a lot of different stories told. And that was ultimately the match that got me kicked out of Ring of Honor for a while. But, I found my way back in. Another match that I really enjoyed too, that I wasn't a part of, was for the Ring of Honor World Championship, was Jay Lethal defending against Kyle O'Reilly. I want to say that was in summer of 2016 or so, somewhere around there. All those years bleed together, man. Another one was, if you ever seen this one, the Briscoes versus Roosh and Dragon Lee. Man, that was a barn burner.
I'll have to check it out. You know what? I would have to say if you think it's all blended together for you, the nice thing is it's all blended together for me in a very positive way. And that, like, again, Ring of Honor has always had an excellent television product. They've always, like you said about that steel cage match, always seemed to go above and beyond for their TV program. And that's something that sometimes doesn't happen in other promotions or on other television programs in pro wrestling, right? Now, I'm going to close her out here, Rhett, first of all, by saying thank you very, very much for the time. And of course, once you answer the question, feel free to continue on and plug where people can find you. But as mentioned, 500 episodes of television have taken place as of the conclusion of tonight's episode. Give me your 60-second elevator pitch for why people should tune in tonight. And, you know, without tearing the curtain back or giving away too much, what can we expect from the foundation in the next little bit?
Well, to be honest, you don't get to 500 episodes by just being another run-of-the-mill wrestling company. This is the best wrestling on the planet. So tune into the Stir app, tune into the Plex app tonight, 8 o'clock. Download the apps. It's free app, so to download it, anybody can download it from any app store. So tune in, check it out, because not only are you going to see a pure title match between Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham, two members of the foundation, where they're going to shake hands before the match, they're going to shake hands after the match. The best man's going to walk out with the title, my bad. But also you're going to see Jay Briscoe versus Mark Briscoe. If you ever seen these two brothers throw down before, there's nothing like a good old brotherly battle. And these guys are they're gonna go all in on each other. So that's one that you definitely want to see. But yeah, you know, the foundation, we're just gonna keep trying to collect as much gold as we possibly can, purify each division in Ring of Honor, and then also keep restoring honor and bring Ring of Honor back to its glory days, which I don't think we're too far off from it right now.
I wouldn't disagree with you there at all, my friend. I'm very excited to see not only what you do, but of course the rest of the foundation and Ring of Honor as a whole. It's been fantastic what you guys have been doing, not only throughout the pandemic, but prior to and, of course, in the future. Rhett, it's been an absolute blast. Thank you so, so much for the time. People want to follow you on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Nexopia, any of those social media sites that you may be on. How can they do so, friend?
On Twitter and Instagram at Rhett Titus ANX. That's RHETTTITUSANX. Facebook.com/Rhett Titus. YouTube.com/Rhett Titus. Also on TikTok at Rhett Titus. And if you want to pick up a Rhett Titus t-shirt, you could head over to prowrestlingtees.com/Rhett Titus ANX, or you could go to shophonor.com and search for Rhett Titus on there. But Spencer, it was an absolute pleasure coming on here. It was nice chatting with you, and I would love to do it again sometime.
Well, my friend, I can guarantee whether you had said that or not, I would have been back in your email or DM sooner rather than later, because the pleasure, my friend, I'm glad to hear wasn't all mine, but severely a pleasure for me as well. Remember, friends, here at Love Wrestling, we like supporting not just great professional wrestling, but great people in it, and Rhett has certainly been one today. So remember to check out all of the links he listed: Pro Wrestling Tees, shop, ringofhonor.com. All of those are great ways to support great people. And as I mentioned, we love doing it here on Love Wrestling. For Rhett, I have been Spencer Love. Thanks for tuning in to a special edition of Spencer Love Interviews. Tune in to Ring of Honor television tonight. I will see you guys there.